Hello friends, welcome to another reel by Hindustan Socialists, where we look at socialism from an Indian perspective. Today we analyze Marxism, socialism, communism and social democracy. We try to analyze these terms, they're used interchangeably. So let's try to understand its history. So Marxism is where it all begins, where Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels propound the theory of Marxism, where they use Hegelian dialectic, which basically was that there is a thesis, there is an antithesis, which then clash between each other, which results in a synthesis. Of course, Hegel applies this in a more philosophical manner, where he leads to the concept of the absolute, where there is no contradiction. But Marx takes this and applies it to materialist history and the history of the world, the human history, where he says that it started with, say, the primitive tribes, which then moves on to a more rigid slave system, a slave and a king's kind of a system, empires, and then it moves to a feudal system where you have regimented society like the serfs in Europe, or say the caste system in India, to a more where some of the feudal lords, the rich class, then go on to form the capitalist class, where more technology comes in and the means of production becomes more mechanized. And that's where capitalism evolves, also leading to a contradiction, which is the working class. So the working class who do not own the means of production or don't share the profit margins, but they are the one who are toiling, and that then leads to a contradiction, which leads to socialism. Socialism is where the working class eventually, through revolution and through change, takes control of the means of production, leading to a socialist state. For example, what happened in the Soviet Union. And then the workers will work. So the concept of a socialist state in theory would be that one would work according to his or her ability and would receive from the state as per their need, which then leads to the final state, which is a communist society, where the state is no longer required, as the classes have been basically there is a more equitable society. And like Marx says, you may hunt in the morning, you may fish in the afternoon, and you may paint in the evening, or in some order. So where he says, without being a hunter or a fisherman or a painter, meaning you don't need to be in a professional way, but you will be in a communist society where you can do what you feel like. That's the ideal state, that's the future state, what he says. But where does social democracy fit into all of this? So social democracy is, in a way, a clash between what Lenin at that time and say Bernstein brought up, where they said that social democracy was a evolutionary way to socialism, whereas Lenin said we need a revolutionary way to socialism. That's social democracy. Hope you understood that.